Hello everyone, today I'm going to be doing a walkthrough of the TryHackMe challenge GitHappens. In this challenge, we're tasked with hacking a web server with a misconfigured Git environment. So something I want to show you real quick is I'm going to create a test directory here. And if we do the command git init, this is going to create an empty Git repository. So the reason I wanted to show you this is inside of this directory, you can see there's a couple different files here that contain information to our GitHub repository. You can see description, config, Git hooks, and whenever a GitHub repository is created, this .git directory can be found. And so what we can do is we can go up here and we can do /.git, and you can see that they have this folder publicly indexed. So the reason developers use GitHub is for version control. So let's say you're working with a bunch of different developers and they all are working on their own computers. You want to have one centralized source for your code. But let's say, there's a bunch of different people committing, you're working in maybe a large software, there's going to be bugs. So GitHub offers a solution where you're able to roll back commits to a previous state. So you're able to say, that kind of messed up our code, let's roll back, and then we'll release this as like a stable version or whatever. So what we can do is we can actually reconstruct the code that is in this directory. So we can go objects, and you can see this file here. This contains information about commits. So all of these are commit information. So we can use a tool called GitHacker to extract this information. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do GitHacker -u or --url, and then I'm going to do --project or output folder. I'm just going to do GitHappens. So you can see it's downloading all of these objects files. And there we go. So let's go in that GitHappens directory here, and then go in this directory. And if we do ls-la to show hidden directories or hidden files, you can see that there's this .git directory. And then we can see the same file structure that we saw earlier. And so now let's go in this objects folder. And you can see that there's a bunch of these directories, and then like earlier, if I go back here, I go in one of these, and you can see that there's these files. So we can extract these information by using zlib. So I found this article by this guy named Matthew Brett, who showcased some Python code that was used to decompress these files. So what I did is I created a little script here that essentially loops through the files in our objects directory, decompresses all of them, and then dumps it in a file called results.txt. I'll leave a link in the description to this code along with the article. So I'm going to copy all this, and then in my objects directory I'm going to do nvim objects.py. Whoops. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to paste that in there, and then I'm going to do python3 objects.py. And you can see that we have this results.txt. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cat this file out. So let's look through this. You can see that there's some commit messages here. You can see some original source code. You can see that there's this check cookie function that checks to see if the login value is set to 1. Keep scrolling up here. We can see some digest function. You can see that they have a salt set, a salty Bob, and they're using the SHA-512 algorithm. And you can see that they're doing a check right here for the username. So they're checking to see if the username is admin, and then to see if the hash password is equal to this value. Keep scrolling up. We see some more comments here. Obfuscated the code a little bit more. And we see a function login, and you can see that the password here is coded in plain text. So this was the original version, right? And they kept committing, and eventually they got to the obfuscated version. So even though that their version is secure now, their Git directory was public, meaning that we were able to look at the previous versions. So this is the password here, and this is the actual flag to the challenge. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll leave a link to the GitHub repository, the Git Hacker tool, and along with the article. If you guys have any challenges you want me to look at, please let me know.